Hi, my name is Angela Herzog, and I am a psychotherapist here in Guelph, Ontario. And this is my sidekick, Zorro, so he may be hanging out with us today. I wanted to take some time to offer a little bit of basically some resources for everyone, because this is a really unique time that's creating a lot of activation for really good reason for everyone. So I wanted to offer some things that I've been finding that are supportive for me and my nervous system, and I hope that they will be for you. As things are closing down and we are being recommended to stay home more and more, a lot of people are saying, well, here's this time to be creative and do all these things that we've always wanted to, but we can't. And I don't know about you, but you might just have that reaction of just like staring blankly at them as they say that. And that feels really impossible to be creative right now. And there's a reason for that, because actually it is biologically impossible to be creative when our bodies are in a threat response. And right now, there is this invisible threat of the virus. And then there's these ripple effects of threats, whether that's the social isolation or the financial implications. The list goes on. So naturally, our nervous system is going into a threat response, which makes it really hard to be creative or treat this as a holiday. So I like using the metaphor actually, of a fire alarm. So say we were hanging out together and the fire alarm starts to go off, and I'm telling you, oh, it's just an alarm. Just, we can still hang out and engage, and we'll just keep going, even though there's this really loud fire alarm. It would take a lot of energy for you to ignore your impulse to run out of this room and to still hear me and engage with me when this fire alarm is going off. So it's the same thing for our bodies. Our alarm systems are going off. And so right now, I think it's really important to support quieting that alarm, so then maybe there is a little bit more energy to engage with more creative things, like whatever that is for you. So I thought I would give a little bit of steps to help you learn how to turn down the alarm in your body, which then naturally your life energy can be more available to engage with your people, your family, and other creative things that you have on your list that you might want to do during this time. So I made up an acronym. It's nothing creative because there's limited creative capacity for me right now. But it is the acronym of NEAMS. And so the first letter is N, and that is normalize. So it's really important to normalize what's happening for ourselves individually and collectively, that our bodies are designed to go into a survival mode to protect. And as I was saying earlier, there are some really key threats right now. And it's different because, if we imagine like we're outside and all of a sudden a ball's coming at us, our nervous system quickly orients to that threat, mobilizes and dodges away from that threat, and then we miss it, the threat's over, and we subside. And so it's really tricky with this because this is this evasive, invisible threat that's around us, maybe not. So it's very normal that our nervous system is going to go into more of that sympathetic place. So that's going more into some fight, flight energy in our nervous system, because it's our nervous system wanting to protect ourselves so we can be ready for the threats that are here. So it's not because we're weak or wimpy or not being strong. It really is because our body is wanting to protect ourselves. So that's normalizing it. The next letter is identify. So identify our thoughts and keep them separate from sensations. So our thoughts are different than what's happening in our body, but they get tied together really quickly. I don't know about you, but for me, my thoughts can quickly go into worst case scenario. And we start imagining and thinking about all the possible things that are going to go wrong. So it's really important to even just identify, oh, that's a thought. I'm having a thought right now and it's going into catastrophizing. And so it's so important. That might just give just a little bit of space from that thought. Then the other piece is identify the sensations. Because the more we're with actually the sensations, those are the sensations are the clue of our alarm system, our biology. So fear tends to have, a really gut feeling of dread and swirling. Our shoulders might tighten up. Our jaw might get tight. Our breathing gets shorter. Heart rate might go up. We might feel tension all over. So those are the sensations. And so the next part is then to acknowledge these sensations, to notice and be with them. Because the cool thing is, when we acknowledge and identify, oh, my chest is actually really tight right now, or, oh, my breathing's really short right now, then the cool thing is sensations shift and change and move and can deactivate or settle. So as I'm talking right now, my cat is licking my leftovers of my lunch. So one moment. We gotta move with what happens, right? So when we be with our sensations, as I was saying, we can then move through the waves of them. They can shift and change and fluctuate. Instead of the thoughts that really lock us in. It's really hard to shift our state when we're so focused on the thoughts. The next letter is mobilize. So when our system goes into a threat response, we go into fight, flight response, or perhaps freeze. And so again, this is our body getting ready to protect. And this is the crazy thing is right now, to protect, we are to slow down, to stay in, and avoid going out. And instinctively, though, our body wants to actually mobilize, to move this flight, fight energy in our system. So it's really important to still create opportunities for our body to move, to mobilize the fight, flight energy in our bodies. So there's small ways we can do this. You have stress balls, even just kind of squeezing that stress ball, or even a pillow, because there's a little bit of bounce back from a pillow. You can squeeze that pillow and just kind of feel how that feels in your body and then release that. It could be squeezing a rock. Some people like the solidness of a rock and just squeezing that rock and then releasing. It could be allowing yourself to go for a walk. If that means you're staying, at least I think they're saying 6 feet distance now. It could be walking around your house. Stairs are a really great way of going up and down stairs to engage your leg muscles a little bit more. For me, dance is a huge thing, and I think it's going to be a great resource for a lot of people. Yesterday, I put on some drumming music, and I think it was like at least an hour and a half of me dancing, and I could have just kept going. But it felt so important to really move my body in just any way I wanted, to just release all that tension that was there. So if you're inside with people, putting on dance and interacting in a dance way is a really great way of doing that. Or even when you're by yourself, I think it's an important thing to be able to move. Another one is pushing. You could even do push-ups or push against a wall. And again, our threat response, we want to push away. We want to get rid of the virus. So there's this instinctive fight response that could show up. So doing some pushing exercises of just like pushing against the wall or pushing against the floor, again, might support some of that energy to move through. Using your voice is another way of mobilizing. It's another way of supporting that movement, that fight-flight energy. So that could be singing. It could be actually letting yourself just yell or growl. And that actually can support a little bit more of a shift as well. So that's the section of mobilize. And then the last section is soothe. So we can't deny our body is naturally going to go into a threat response. And it's really hard to sustain and impossible to sustain a threat response for our nervous systems. It will create actually more risk of getting sick and other things. So it's really important to give a chance for soothing the nervous system so we can come out of the threat response and into more of that parasympathetic part of our nervous system, which signals to our body the threat is over and the alarm bell can quiet. And so soothing is a really important thing to keep coming back to. So some ways to soothe and that can actually build resiliency in our body so we can be more ready to be in threat is the sound of VOO. So VOO is something Peter Levine created, who's the founder of somatic experiencing. And he explains all the biology of it. I won't do justice of that, but it trickles and touches on the vagus nerve, which is the biggest nerve in the body that connects to our stress response and other organs. And when we create this VOO sound, it supports a settling and can bring up other emotions, but it can engage that parasympathetic. So what you do is you breathe in, and then from your belly, you let out a VOO sound as long as you can. And you can do it a couple times and then let yourself settle. So if you want, you can do it with me. Breathing in. VOO. Noticing what changes in the inside. If things are exactly the same, if things are a little bit quieter, maybe some emotion shows up, and just again acknowledge that, and that's going to shift through. Breathing is a really important signal for our nervous system. When the breath is longer, it signals that we're safe. So practicing the VOO and then even longer exhales can be really important right now. A fun exercise you can do to help regulate your kids and also yourself is if you have bubbles inside, to actually blow bubbles. And so that's engaging that longer breath. If you don't have bubbles, you can pretend you're blowing bubbles. You can do it with your kids or do it with yourself of just, let's imagine we're blowing bubbles right now. And again, there's this exhale that can happen for your nervous system. So that could be another way of soothing. Another big thing is orienting with our senses. So our nervous system is always wanting to orient and look and find, is there threat? And because this is so intangible, we want to actually support our nervous system to orient to tangible, safe objects. And we can use that through all of our different senses. So through our eyes, we can orient to what we see, what we like to look at. If you're working from home, you can put up specific pictures or objects that you really like to look at, that you can look at throughout your day. I think working by windows is an awesome way to orient to outside, the natural world around us. As you can see, there's a bird feeder behind me. Don't know if there's birds right now, but for me, that's a really important thing to keep orienting to. Obviously, orienting to my cat is a common thing for me too. And then hearing what sounds you can orient to. I know it's a little cool, but I've been trying to keep the window open here and there because the music of the birds singing is so beautiful right now. So taking a little extra time to hear the birds singing can be really soothing. Or actually putting on some music. I've been noticing I've been playing all this music, and then I noticed the music I was drawing to all have the theme of sunshine, which I thought was so interesting, especially with spring coming and wanting more sun so things can grow. So I think what I'll do is I might even post some of those songs. But finding music that really soothes you as well is super important. Touch is, I think, a really important piece, especially right now when we're not supposed to be touching each other. Doesn't mean we don't have to be touch deprived. We can still be creative in how we find touch. So pets is a huge way to still experience touch and letting your hands feel the softness of the fur. You can even play with different materials. So your favorite sweater you want to wear, or your favorite blanket you want to touch or cuddle up in, and letting yourself actually notice what it feels like on your skin. You can get outside and touch trees and the earth, the dirt. Those are all really yummy ways of still getting some touch needs met. There's also self-touch. Peter Levine talks about how important it is for self-touch, that we need to be able to regulate ourselves. And one self-touch exercise he's created is the self-hold, that you put one hand under the armpit and one hand over. And hanging out there, you can play with it. You can be curious of actually putting both hands under, or maybe both hands over, or one or the other. See which one actually feels a little bit more supportive. And so again, our system can still experience some safe touch, because as human beings, we still need that for regulation and a sense of safety. The other two senses, smell. So again, getting outside, this is the time of year you can take in the dirt smell and the earth as everything's thawing out and coming back to life. Teas, coffees, candles, those can all be soothing smells you can bring into your home. And same with taste. Teas and some really gentle tastes in your mouth can be really supportive right now. So there's all sorts of things when we start listing these ideas of what things can start soothing all of our senses, so we can tangibly come into an experience of safety in the now. And the other last piece I want to mention around soothing is co-regulation. So again, our nervous systems are designed to regulate when we're in relationship with other people, that our nervous systems are tuning into other people and responding accordingly. So again, it's this interesting thing as we're told to pull away when instinctively our nervous systems want to move towards to find safety. So there's still ways we can do that. So of course, if you're at home with people, you can still be engaging with people. And video and online, it's not the same, and it's still really important to be doing right now. And so little tips around that is our nervous system takes in eye contact, tone of voice, and facial expressions as cues of danger and safety. So you might want intentionally to be slowing down your voice, to be making eye contact with people, to make sure your facial expressions are gentle, smiley, and even making note of those people. Or even when you watch videos, like I've been really enjoying Ellen online lately. And so I make sure I'm looking at her facial expressions. And there's something about that that just helps regulate me. So there's ways of still paying attention to people's facial expressions that might help soothe our nervous systems as well. So I hope this gave you an array of different ways to support our body and our alarm system in our body to get a little bit more quiet. So when there's more quiet, your body's more available to engage with other things and also start being creative in other ways that you can help support yourselves and other people during this time. Feel free to reach out. I want to make myself available for support during this time. So feel free to reach out at any time. And I wish you wellness and riding the waves of the alarm bell going off, because of course it's going to, and riding the waves of normalizing, let's see if I can remember this, identifying, acknowledging, mobilizing, and soothing. Take good care.